Design featuring Zihan M, Ethan Z, and Jason P. First, we're going to be talking about HTML. HTML is the basic structure of any web page. Hypertext Markup Language, also known short as HTML, is a standard markup language for all websites. HTML has lots of tags. Every document in HTML begins with exclamation mark doc type HTML. That declares the type of document. In this case, it's the HTML document. In HTML, you have to close every tag with a backslash before the word in the tag, like this. Everything goes between the doc type HTML and the end HTML tag. Try adding both these commands. You probably will get a blank screen. To add a title to your website, put the tags at the bottom. Title, my first website, and backslash title. The code is here on the right, and the result is on the top right. That is the tab, which shows the title at the top of the display. More HTML tags. Of course, you've heard me talk about tags, but you probably want to write something in your website. To do this, put this in your compiler. H1 hello \H1. This tells the compiler that I want to size H1 text on my website. H1 is the largest text and H6 is the smallest text. It goes from H1, H2, H3, and to H6, so on. To write a paragraph, use the P tag. To italicize a text, use the EM tag. To make a part of text bold, use a strong tag like this. On the right, you can see my code, and on the bottom right, you can see the results with the italicized
How to
C.
make your text and layout beautiful. CSS Introduction. Cascading Style Sheets, also known short as CSS, is the language for describing the presentation of web pages, including colors, layouts, and fonts. At the most basic level, it contains two components, properties and values. Properties and the different types of CSS. The property part of the text are human recognizable identifiers that tell you which feature you want to edit. For example, background color, font size, and text color. There are two types of CSS. One type is internal CSS and the other is external CSS. External CSS is when you link a document in the text to your HTML. Internal CSS is where you directly write it in your HTML file and style it from there. CSS values. Value is a number that is assigned to a property. That number controls how you change that property. One example is the style of the heading 1 in the HTML as shown on the right in the image. There are many attributes to an object, referred to in a CSS file by class or ID. Here are a few common ones: background color, background image, font margin, and padding. And that will be the end of CSS.
How to make your website look alive and to make it interact with the user. JS Introduction. JavaScript, also known as JS, is a section of the code that lets you put complex features on your website. When you go on a website, it doesn't just sit there and do nothing. For example, it displays timely updates, interactive maps, and animated 2D/3D images. Ever wondered why something happens when you click on a button on a website? That's because of JavaScript. The core of JavaScript consists of three components: the ECMA script, the JavaScript engine, and the JavaScript runtime. JavaScript has 7 built-in types: null, undefined, boolean, number, string, object, and symbol. How to add JavaScript to HTML. You can add JavaScript code in an HTML document by employing the dedicated HTML tag script that wraps around JavaScript code. The script tag can be replaced in the head section of your HTML or in the body section, depending on when you want the JavaScript to load. This is a piece of code from a basic JS file for a web page. The function openSideNav is a function you can call, which will then run the code inside. You call function by doing your function name here and a parentheses and a close parentheses. This makes it more convenient to write long files of code. As you can see on this code over here, you have a function called openSideNav, and then inside this curly bracket, you have your function, which will run when you call the function openSideNav.